I am Annabelle. You also know me as Doula Belle. I am a wife and a mother of two. I am the owner of and founder of Oulala Doula, holistic birth keeper, and I am a certified doula with the organization Kappa. I am also holistic postpartum doula. I work as well with a local birth center, Natural Birth Works, located in Margate, with two wonderful midwives. Uh, I also practice belly binding to help mom recover after birth, to help them in the process of healing their womb. I am a huge breastfeeding advocate, and I am a peer lactation counselor. I'm also an earthologist for Earthly Wellness. I'm affiliated with them. It's a range of very organic products. And I'm also the co-founder of the Doula Care Collective, which is something that we are launching very soon. And I would recommend you to stay put on that because a lot of good things are going to happen with this collective within the community for doulas, for our moms, but also for the perinatal professional in the area. Just before we start and I give you some information, I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands that I'm not a healthcare provider. I am not a doctor. I'm not a midwife. I do not have any medical degrees or any way. I'm just here to provide evidence-based information. Um, and everything that I'm gonna say today is not to be considered as a medical advice. And before you implement any of this information, make sure that you talk to your care provider about this. Also, keep in mind that the topic of the COVID right now is something that is very new. It's an emerging topic. So the research are coming up, but it's still very, very little. And the guidelines for hospital, for the CDC, for all kind of organization is constantly changing. So you may have one information one day, in 2 months it may be another one based on whatever came up in between scientifically or in any other way. So back in April, the situation for pregnant people was the following. Now, those information are information that I've taken from evidence-based-birth.com, which is a website I strongly encourage you to go. You will find, as new parents, new mother, new family, to really have a look at this website. You will have like a ton of evidence-based information on pregnancy in general, but also they have a specific section for the COVID. So you would go to evidence-based-birth.com/COVID-19. So what is evidence-based telling us as far as the COVID and the situation for pregnant people? So far, there was a very small study of 108 pregnancy. So it's a very small data that we have. So what we noticed in that data, in that study, is that the most symptoms that we see are fever and dry cough. And most of the mom are usually tested during the third trimester. We found that only that 20% of the mom were able to recover from the COVID before they were actually able to give birth. Also, we have 42.8% of those moms that gave birth before 37 weeks. There was a rate of 92% of C-section. One baby died. There was one stillbirth, and there was 3 maternal ICU admission, but none of the mother passed away. There was no maternal death. So it kind of looks scary when you look at the numbers, but again, we don't have the whole information. We don't know what are the reason if the mom were giving birth before 37 weeks. We don't know for sure if it was due to the COVID. Same thing for the cesarean rate. Like, is it because it was an emergency, or it was just because it was out of precaution from the care provider side to make the decision with the parents to have belly birth? As of April this year, there was no actual evidence that people that were pregnant had a greater risk of infection. And it was also very inconclusive in terms of evidence to determine if there was an actual parent to baby transmission of the virus through the womb. So those are the information that we had then. Back in June, which was last month, is not so far away. The updates that we had is that there was, the information is still from evidence-based birth. The information that we have is that there was actually, that time, 9,989 pregnant people with confirmed COVID in the US through January until June. There was 26 maternal deaths. We do not know if there was a relation to the COVID. That's unclear. What also observed is that Hispanic and Latin pregnant people were disproportionately accounting for large numbers of reported cases. There is no information or explanation as of why it is at this time. And it goes back to, we still have insufficient evidence on whether the pregnancy increases the risk of infection of the COVID. Again, more information, evidence-based birth.com/COVID-19 if you want to see all of that information. Now I would like to talk to you about a few things that you should know in regards to having the baby during this time. So the RCOG, the Royal College of Obstetric and Gynecology, has determined, has made different statements. So as of right now, what we can see is that if you're infected, it's mostly going to be, and if you experience symptoms, no symptoms at all, or like mild illness like fever or coughing and stuff like that, there was observed that you would most likely have a complete recovery. And it's more in case of like severe symptoms that you would want to prompt an emergency care visit. It is also very important, highly recommended that after 28 weeks, you really implement social distancing. Also recommended that you stay in contact with your maternity care team. We encourage us as doula, but also is here the Royal College of Obstetric and Gynecology also encourage you to talk to your medical care team about your mental health, because it's not easy being stuck inside. I know the good stuff about being a mom. When you're first time mom, it's like you do those yoga class and you get excited and you get to meet other mom, and then you're like at the same time in the pregnancy, and then a baby is born and you continue to yoga a baby in me, and you know that's how you build your little mommy tribe. But having a baby right now in the time of COVID, you don't have any of this, and sometimes if you have family that is away, it's even harder on your mental health. So make sure that you check in with your provider or with a friend or with a family member. Just give them a call. Sometimes it can make a big difference. So that was a little parenthesis on mental health. Birthing people should be permitted and encouraged to have a birthing partner during labor and birth. Birth partner should not have any symptoms in the 7 days prior to birth. So when you go to the hospital with whoever you're going to the hospital with, your partner, your wife, your husband, or family member, or even your doula, it's very important that this person did not have any symptoms 7 days prior to going to the hospital. And what's also extremely, extremely important is that do not lie. Be honest about it. Be honest about your condition, because that's the reason at the first place that we only allow now in hospital one support person, is because unfortunately some people have lied about their symptoms. So the guidelines have become more strict about it. You can't just go to the hospital. I get it. It is your baby's birth and you would want to be there, or your grandsons, or whatever the case may be. But just like plan for backup if you happen to have a partner that is not feeling well. That's very important. Make sure that you're honest about your symptoms going to the hospital. The two last recommendation that we have here is delayed cord clamping is still recommended, and so is breastfeeding. As of now, there's no recommendation or information about the opposite. We don't know yet if breastfeeding can be infected by the virus or anything like that. And those recommendations here, like I mentioned before, are from the Royal College of Obstetric and Gynecology, and you can find that on their website at www.rcog.org.uk. Like I was just saying, there's a lot of guidelines that are changing. So what are the changes that we are seeing a little bit everywhere and at different level in your pregnancy? In regards to prenatal care, so what you're going to be able to see is that there is a spaced out, you visit to your care provider spaced out, or they may be virtually done. And then there is also car waiting, a lot of car waiting. You probably have experienced that. I know I did. I took my cat to the vet and we stayed in the car, and they came and they got the car. They got the cat, and then I just had to stay in the car. So I know there's like some that do that, where you would have to wait in the car, and they wait for you they call you at the last minute when everything is ready and cleaned up and all of that. So you're going to see a lot of this too. Telehealth visit, like I just mentioned. And of course, what you're going to see is like during the hospital stay, you're going to see that all the staff, labor and delivery nurses and doctors and everybody's wearing masks over there. It's everyone is wearing masks. Other changes that you're going to see as far as injection, from what I understood, is like there's a half-half. It's depending on your situation, depending also on where you're located. You're going to see either doctor are going to have the tendency to wait and make sure that you are, not make sure, but because there's nothing sure about birth, but they're going to let you go in labor spontaneously, or you're going to feel extremely pressure into a non-medical procedure. It can be things like, well, we don't know what's going to be in 1 week or 2 weeks, so we shouldn't do so now, or using the partner as an excuse of why you should be induced. Like, we should induce you now because your partner is healthy, and we don't know if that's going to be the case, so we should have the baby. We should induce you now to make sure that your partner is able to be at the birth. So that's the type of things that you may hear from medical team, and that's not cool. That's not pressuring you into medical procedure is not something that we should be doing to pregnant moms. Also, change the guidelines for doulas in hospital setting. Unfortunately, like I mentioned before, a lot of things have changed, and now doulas are barely accepted in the hospital. Locally in the area, there is only, I believe, Boca Regional so far that has been accepting doulas that are actually certified. And That's about it. Other than that, it has to be one visitor only, regardless of if it is a family member or a partner, or if it is the doula. It does not matter. You have one person for the whole birth, and that's it. If you leave, then you cannot come back. So it has make sure, unfortunately, that you choose the right person for your birth. So what that triggers as well a lot of changes in your doula care is that you're going to see as doula we're going to do a lot of virtual support, uh, prenatal virtually, but also we've heard stories about giving birth or at least having the support of your doula at the birth via video conference. um, we also see that pregnant people tend to labor longer at home before they actually get to the hospital. And there's also an increase in out of hospital birth. Either pregnant persons choose to go straight to midwifery or a birth center birth, or if they're already, maybe halfway through the pregnancy, because of the situation, they may choose to transfer to a birth center uh, to avoid birth center or home birth with a midwife to avoid the exposition uh, at the hospital. So that's also something that we've seen on the rise lately. Also locally, there's some birth center here that are accepting late clients and transfer. Absolutely, that is definitely an option if you're concerned about contamination while going to the hospital. Um, Another guidelines that have changed or that I've seen in the hospital, and that's not something that's not good. I don't know how else to say it. Like it's just it sucks. Is separation from the baby, from the partner, and from the doula. So that can trigger a lot of things. Well, first, it's a human right for the mom to have a partner, to not be separated from her baby. That's her human's right. And the guidelines are like do not separate the mom without their permission. If some people are interested at the end, or you can go directly to evidencebasedbirth.com, and they do have a sample of a letter, a refusal letter, or your refusal form for you to sign and give to your provider if you do not wish to be separated from your baby. So you can have access to that document there. And the also big concern about like having the mom separated from her support person and or the baby is the concern for postpartum recovery. We know that postpartum can be very challenging for a first-time mom. Even if the birth went well, you have the change of hormone and all of those things. It's so new, the adjustment and all of that. So it's important that the mom is not isolated. A special note that I want to add as far as this, to get back on the human rights section of separation. So just note that the hospital's policies, they are required and they are necessary to make sure that everything is getting the care they deserve the way it should be, and everything is working smoothly in the hospital. But those policies, they are for the employees, they are not for the patients. So if they are presented as required, they shall not be enforced on you as a patient. And if they do implement this medical procedure against your will, then it goes against the patient's human rights. So make sure you know that those policies are for the employees, not for the patients. And if you're interested in knowing more about this, you can go on birthmonopoly.com and you can find a lot of good information and classes offered on knowing your rights as a birthing person. Now let's talk about the bright side, because there is a bright side, so that's a good thing. So the good news is despite everything, you can still have a beautiful experience. You can still have a positive birth and a healthy outcome for the mother and for the baby. So we still hear the testimonies that people are having a good birth at the hospitals. That's a great news. What's important too is that you understand the current local labor landscape. uh, Educate yourself on what is being done locally in your community by your care provider, by the hospital you're going with, or the birth center that you midwife is working at. All of those things, like the more you know, and that's not just for your labor landscape right now, it's for everything, especially in birth, like with the birth plan. So just get your information, do your research, because the more you know, the more confident you're going to be. And that's my next point. Do your research, make backup plans. Like we mentioned earlier, if your partner happened to be sick a little bit before birth, like make sure you have other people that are aligned for you and ready to step in case your partner is not able to come with you at the hospital due to symptoms related to the COVID. So that's a big tip here. Strategize again, do your research, strategize. All the good news is that in the hospital, because of this situation, you're gonna have fewer staff, you're gonna have more privacy. Hopefully you won't have like everybody coming in every hour checking on you, because when you're just giving birth and you have somebody coming every hour do your vitals for the babies and all of this, it can be extremely tiring, especially if you had a long and difficult birth. So this increase of privacy can also lead you to like a quieter postpartum time, get more sleep, and that would promote like bonding with your baby. So that's a great news. Also, what has been observed is that there are some early discharge for persons that are obviously good to go home and they have no complications from the birth. So you may go home earlier with your little one. So that's also great news, because the sooner you leave and you get back home and you're away from the hospital where people go when they're sick, where you're there and you're exposed. So the sooner you get home, the safer you will be, and then you can start your journey as a new parent. So that's pretty good too. Um, some tips about how to prepare for this time, but also for birth in general, obviously, is take a virtual childbirth education. It goes back to educate yourself, do your research. I won't stress that enough. Your education on the birth, on the matter, on the situation is going to be your number one ally. So get a childbirth education class, hire a labor doula and or postpartum doula. Do that for yourself, because a lot of things are changing again. We here, that's what we do. We keep ourselves educated on the matter. We keep ourselves up to date. We're in touch with hospitals. Some of them, when we're certified, we are like registered with hospitals. We do on calls. So all of that is to make sure that you have a labor doula and or postpartum doula in your pocket for you to help you to navigate this sometimes changing and complicated time, but now even more so with the situation with the virus. And another tip as well, as far as like having a good team around you, is like before you give birth, if you intend on breastfeeding, make sure that you have already established a relationship with a lactation consultant. It's very important, because when you give birth to your baby, you don't have the time to think about all of that. But if breastfeeding is really a goal of yours, it's very important that you have already somebody that you already have phone number in your phone, and be like, I need help, or I'm facing this issue. How do I get through that? So that's very mental health, very important. And if you're feeling anxious and stressed, so here are some tips that you can do to help you deal with that stress, deal with that anxiety. Is that you can talk to someone, like I mentioned earlier, call the doula if you have one, call your mom or your brother, sister, your best friend, whoever you have. Do not hesitate to talk to them about how you feel and how you what you need. Tell them what you need. People cannot guess. It's important that you tell them what you need if you feel anxious and stressed or whatever. Other tip, I know I have implemented that one because I'm not pregnant, but I do feel the anxiety and the stress like everybody else. So what I do is that I avoid and limit social media and media exposure, because that can be also every day you take the phone, you pick up your news or your Facebook, whatever it is, and every day there is an article about something happening in the world. It's like the world is catching on fire every day, and I can't, like, I for my sanity and my kids, I can't keep up doing that. So I have limited my exposure to social media and media. So we have a deal at home with my husband. He's the one listening to the news. I'm not listening to the news anymore at all because I get extremely anxious. So we made a deal that if there's something that I should worry about or we should worry about as a family, he will tell me. Other than that, he's the one taking all the news in, and I'm staying away from it. Good things to try as well is music therapy, guided relaxation, meditation. If you religious, prayer, or have a mantra, whatever keeps you strong or keeps you like together. Um, Eat healthy and hydrate. That's good for your head, but that's good for your body as well. Because if you eat good food, you're gonna feel good. If you eat crappy food, pregnant or not pregnant, especially pregnant, but pregnant or not pregnant, if you eat crappy food, you're not gonna feel good. So if you don't feel good, you're not gonna want to do anything. You're not gonna want to do exercise, which is another great thing to do to help with your mental health is exercise. It can be yoga, walk, or swim, or like mild exercise that you can do as pregnant. So ask your provider before you do anything if it's new to you. And spending some time outdoors. Go outside, get some sun, get your vitamin D, 10, 15 minutes in the sun, get that sun in, soak it all in, get some wind too in your hair, like feel it, all of it. Get barefoot outside. The connection with the earth is also going to help you just like feeling like grounded and centered and just like, okay, I got this. That's my one of my favorite, but not everybody is the same. But I hope that some of this would resonate with you and you will be able to um, implement some of them and help you manage your stress and your anxiety. As a doula, I wanted to tell you how I can support you. I can, as a doula, like I'm doing now, give you some evidence-based information. I can help you and support you with your partner emotionally, virtually, or physically for labor and for postpartum. And also I can also connect you to different resources that I have connections with other professionals that are working in the birth community, but also like website, like I mentioned to you earlier, or little like tricks and tools that we have in our bag as doulas to help you go through the journey, go through childbirth, go through whatever it is that you're going through. So that's that's it. So now if anybody has question, you can go ahead and send them to me. I'm going to shut down my live on Instagram, but you can send me questions if you wish, and I will answer them, of course. And then in the Zoom, if anybody has joined us that I haven't met yet and has question, or even the participant that are here that has question, I will be happy to answer your question. So thank you very much, Instagram, and I will talk to you soon.
This was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Belle. And I can thank enough all of you. Tasha, thank you for joining us. Carrie, it's a pleasure to meet you. My mom, gracias por estar. Deyes, thank you for being here. It's such a pleasure. I'm beyond thankful, and we need more people who care about our pregnant moms. Give them love. Remember, pregnant moms to me are the ones that is going to bring our new generation, and we want them to be healthy. You know that through Preggo Dance, my mission also, through the dance, through the music, through showing love and give the resources like you guys. That's what I created this event, this live chat, so we can bring them, tell them what is good for them, show them love, show that we care about them.